Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to the review of a piece that has been on my horological radar for the last couple of years. You know I love a good Submariner homage. There is a reason these things sell in massive numbers. They're incredibly popular. There is not a lot you cannot do with one of these on your wrist. They're just such a versatile everyday watch. And this Squale 1545 20 Atmos has got a reputation as being the best subby homage at its price. What is that price? Well, I got this one from Gnomon watches out of Singapore. They are an official supplier of Squales. They've got a whole bunch of Squales available. This is where my friend Ashley got his 1521 earlier on this year. $570 US, including free shipping. It landed in Sydney 2 days after I ordered it. I'll leave a link for that one in the description of the video. So what do you get for your 570 US? Well, you get Swiss made on the dial and a Swiss made ETA 2824 in the case. Clearly a little more money than a Phoebus PY007 or a Tecel Marine Diver, but half the price of the GEARBEST Ocean Rover. Let's flip the camera and get a good look at this Squale. Let's get into the Squale then. Really, this next rung up in terms of subby homages, you're looking at one of these 1545s or you're looking at the Steinhardt Ocean 1. Now the Steinhardt Ocean 1 comes in 42mm or 39mm sizes, whereas the Squale 1545 stays true to the original watch, coming in at 40mm. So what have we got here? Because this one came from Gnomon always look after you. There's a nice little pouchy here containing, I believe it's a polishing cloth and a NATO strap. Indeed, and a nice little thank you note as well. Always nice when the place you're purchasing the watch from goes that extra step to say thank you for your business. And you got one of these PU leather pouches containing the warranty card and information there on the 20 Atmos. Instruction manual, which obviously I don't intend to read, and the watch itself. Now this one is already sized for me. I had to take out a couple of links on either side, but it was an easy job because they are screw links. So a 1545 then, but which 1545? Well, this is the 20 Atmos Maxi Ceramic. So we've got a ceramic bezel insert here and a very nice one at that, and maxi sized indices. So the circular indices, the batons and the triangle up at 12, they're all larger than they would otherwise be on the regular model. Everything else is just the same though. I did look at the Militaire and also the green one. They do a Hulk variation. They were the ones that I was considering, but this was the one that I went for. In the end, everything else is pure subby. 40mm in diameter, just about 13.5mm thick, 48mm lug tip to lug tip, 20mm lug width, tapering down to 18, back up to 20mm at the clasp. Sized up for me, my 7-inch wrist, Joe average 7-inch wrist. This one weighs in at 161 grams, so all of those dimensions are pretty much what you would expect. And the specifications are all pretty much as you'd expect. 316L stainless steel case, crown, bezel and bracelet. Screw links to the bracelet as noted. They're obviously solid links and solid end links, and it's a nice clasp. Little fold over there, easy enough to get your thumbnail underneath to open it, and it's a milled clasp as you would expect for $570 US. Dead flat sapphire crystal with heaps of purple AR coating. I really do quite like the way that pops. It certainly adds a little bit of interest to the black looks of this one. And you've got a very well placed and effective cyclops there over the date window at the 3 o'clock, 2.5 times magnification, just as you would expect it to be. But the dial is only printed. I was a little surprised not to see applied indices. It's printed well, nice, crisp and clean. We've got the Squale Shark, 20 Atmos and Y1545 above the 6 o'clock index. The magic words, Swiss made, on either side of the baton at 6, and Squale with the Von Buren family crest there just under the 12. But the handset is also very simple, not a lot of flash happening there. Classic Mercedes, and the lollipop on the second hand. They are nicely loomed though. I'll pop up the Lume video. Quite a small Lume pip on the ceramic bezel, but the maxi indices do add a little more real estate on the dial given over to the Lume C3 Superluminova. Plenty of it on the hands and indices. Performs just as you would expect. This watch features a 120 click unidirectional rotating dive time bezel. The action is robust. I would expect that one to loosen up a little bit with time, but always better too stiff than too loose on one of these bezels. And a very pleasant ceramic bezel insert as noted. Ceramic bezel inserts are becoming more and more common on watches under $1,000 US, but there's a big difference between a $10 eBay one and a nice quality one like this. And you really do notice that difference. It does shine and glisten very pleasingly when combined with the AR coating on the glass. Mixture of brushed and polished surfaces on the case, polished case sides, polished bezel, and you've got the family crest once again appearing on the crown there, which is nice. Plenty of grip on that crown. Brushing on the lugs. Brushing is a little rougher than I had expected, to be honest. It is, however, offset by some very pleasant brushing on the bracelet. Very nice finishing on that one throughout. And as noted, the Squale crest there, the shark on the fold over clasp. Clasp looks and feels good in operation. And diver's extension. Very nice to see that. That's one of the features that differentiates this from the cheaper subby homages mentioned in the intro. They do not feature a diver's extension. Popping a link, you see a simple but functional screw down case back. Kind of old fashioned with the angles, but as you can see, also being able to be removed quite conveniently and simply with a modern case back remover tool, giving this watch 20 atmos of water resistance, oddly enough. Now, the movement in this one is an ETA 2824. I popped this one in the Wolfwinders for the last couple of weeks, had it running away. Ran very, very consistently, but as you can see there, a little fast, plus 14. From my experience with these ETAs, that is not a bad result. They normally are incredibly consistent, but they do tend to run a little bit fast. 25 joules, hacks hand winds, roughly a 40-hour power reserve. Some you get a little bit more, some you get a little bit less. 28,800 vibrations per hour, leading to 8 ticks per second of the second hand. You get that lovely smooth sweep of the second hand and solid end links, as you would expect for a watch that costs just under 600 bucks. And getting it on my 7-inch wrist, it looks and feels pretty much exactly as you would expect it to. All brushed there on the bracelet and clasp, little bit of polish on the sides of the case and on the edges of that bezel. 40mm, great size for most people, hence the reason that Rolex haven't changed the size of the Submariner in many a long decade, and the mad amount of AR coating on the glass there really adding an extra little bit of colour, little bit of visual interest to this one when combined with a ceramic bezel insert. And paying dividends when you get this watch out into some bright sunshine, remaining legible throughout. Sits very nicely on wrist, flat. ETA movement means you can make these ones nice and slim. Short lug to lug conforms to the wrist very well, and I'm glad I got the maxi indices version. I suspect it might look a little bit odd with those smaller printed indices, whereas this one, I think the dial nicely balanced, not entirely symmetrical because of the family crest there above the S of Squale, but I think it looks pretty good, and a Cyclops that you can actually use. Unlike the fairly useless Cyclops on my GEARBEST Ocean Rover, but that is for another video. Indeed, you will see all three of these watches again as I put them head to head with the Daddy, an original genuine Rolex Submariner, one of Mr. X's of course. So how does the Squale fit into this sandwich? Phoebus at $299, Squale at $570. GEARBEST pricing is a little bit debatable, but we're calling that one at $1,000 today. And it kind of does fit in the middle in terms of the specifications. You get a high beat Swiss movement as opposed to the Japanese movement here in the Phoebus, and you get Swiss made on the dial. You also get a much nicer ceramic bezel insert and a nicer bracelet. Finishing on the lugs though, not quite as good as is on the Phoebus. That just shows you do get plenty of watch for your $300 with the Phoebus. The GEARBEST, well, you're getting something with slightly dubious origins, hand built in America on the dial, and a clone of the ETA 2824 rather than the original movement, but the finishing on this one is outstanding and it feels closer to the Rolex in terms of the overall fit and fitment of the thing. But the Squale has not disappointed. I think at just under $600, you're getting your value with this one. You do pay a little bit extra for the brand name, for Swiss made, and for that known quantity, the proven quantity that is the ETA 2824. But I think if you're in the market for a kind of mid-level subby homage, you will not be disappointed with this Squale. It's everything that I expected it to be. So there you have it, the Squale 154520 Atmos then. This one rolls with a rep that is well deserved. I think $570 is pretty much spot on for a piece like this. It feels like a well thought out package, no obvious weaknesses. Swiss made on the dial, Swiss made movement in the case. You get plenty of watch for your money, assuming you don't mind a subby homage. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.